You are listening to the Kutztown Podcast with your host, Sebastian Bubba.
I saw you across the room.
This week's album of choice is
Nothing I knew. You're so close, yet so far.
Hello, welcome back to a great start. Alright, welcome back to a new, different version of the Kutztown Podcast with an updated set. We're trying to do different things around here, so that's kind of why it looks a little different. Once again, I am your host, Sebastian Bubba, and for today we got two great guests here. How about you introduce yourselves?
My name is Maddie, and this is my second-hand man, Cade.
Hello.
Radical. Now, we are here to discuss actually your time working as pretty much like the director of your local esports team here at Kutztown for the game Overwatch.
Mm-hmm. So basically, I direct both of our Overwatch teams. We never turn people away, and as a result of the extended interest for Overwatch, we have two teams. We meet twice a week, and we compete in a collegiate region throughout North America, and we just finished up with that, and now we're going to also be hosting a live event for colleges around the area. So that's what we're putting our manpower into right now.
Nice. So, when were you actually elected to be the director of
I was interim director in spring of 2022?
22.
Yeah, because our previous director had to step down due to some issues, and I was elected in his place. Then when we came in for the fall, I was officially director, I don't want to say for real, but I actually had the title and access to everything, and I've held that position ever since.
Nice. And just for people who are unaware, what game do you actually direct for?
So I do Overwatch 2. It's a 5v5 first-person shooter game, and essentially you work on a team together with 3 different roles, 2 people for 2 of those roles and 1 person for the third, and then there's an elected in-game captain and an elected out-of-game captain. You are an in-game and an out-of-game captain.
Yes.
I am an out-of-game captain, and then I have someone who works with me in tandem because I do not play the role that is typically considered for the in-game role. That would be tank, and that's what he plays. I play support, so I don't get to do that role. Basically, what I do and what he does is we coordinate practices, scrimmages, and games for both of our teams. He directly deals with Team 2. I have upgraded to Team 1, and whatever he does goes through me first. So I'm kind of like the big person in charge, and then he works under me.
Awesome. And you two are also on the team, correct? For both esports teams?
Yeah, so he plays on Team 2. I used to play on Team 2, but I have since been upgraded to Team 1.
And what were your roles as those on each team?
You want to go first?
I was on tank the entire time for Team 2. I still am, and she was been a support player the entire time.
Yeah, I was very briefly a DPS player when I was in high school, but it didn't really work out. So I switched to support and got some lessons, and now that's what I play.
Nobody wants to be known as a DPS.
No, absolutely not. That's why there's not a third person on my other side. We didn't need that kind of representation.
No.
Wonderful. And how's your experience been so far, as a director?
I think overall it's been really positive. I've learned a lot in terms of leadership and working with, I don't want to say upper management, but there are people above me in terms of actual e-board. Being considered director is kind of someone on the side. So whenever I want to do things like reschedule my times, work with other teams, I have to go through a third party, which can get frustrating at times, but it does give me some good practice for doing that in the future. My major is secondary education, so I'm going to be working with administration a lot on that. So if anything, it's kind of like a bonus just to be able to be in that environment already and having positive interactions with people.
Nice. So, sorry. So do you have any, what was, the most fun you've had when pursuing, just something like this? I don't know if you would consider it fun, but just, what are your favorite parts about doing stuff like this?
I think, for me, being able to be on a sport again is just so life-changing. So for some background, I used to do like physical sports, but I have a birth defect in my hand, so it limits the ability of things that I can do for actual sports. I used to play softball and I used to be a goalie for soccer, but I had to give that up. Coming into esports though, I don't have them on me, but I have wrist casts and stuff like that I use, and it's less physically demanding, but it gives me all of the rewarding aspects of being on a team, doing coordination, talking to teammates, and I've made a lot of friends going through this, and I was missing that part of my life when I had to stop doing regular sports, so it's just been super important for me to not only get that experience for myself, but to be able to offer that to my other teammates and people who work under me.
That's nice, actually. Now, I talked to Cade about this actually for the pilot episode and just like my experience, because I actually tried for the esports team. I wasn't really as serious about it as others were, and I felt like that was my first mistake going into it. I was just seeing this as an opportunity to like make friends, and like I just thought it was a great place to start. Everyone was just super accommodating to me in it. Like they were super nice, very patient with me. I just don't think I had the commitment to keep up with it, and it definitely showed. But honestly, just seeing everyone in that like little community, and just everyone's just so nice, and like from my experience at least, and just like what was your experience like getting into the esports team for the first time?
So I started esports way earlier than most people do. I was a senior in high school when my school department actually came forward to me and asked if I wanted to help make it a reality in my high school. I don't know, I worked with David Travers on that as well. Don't know if you're gonna ever have him here, but basically, he did all of the production behind it, and I did the coordination for the Overwatch department. So in that aspect, I was way ahead, and that put me in the position to be director as a sophomore. I'm a sophomore right now, so usually we don't have directors that young, but I've had enough experience to boost that. What happened with us, though, was we had a media room that just happened to have 6 gamer PCs, is what they were called, because they had the specs high enough to run our games. So we would do practices 5 times a week for 2 hours every school day. And we had games on Wednesdays. And if we won our game on Wednesday, we did not have to come into practice Thursday or Friday. And that was so motivating that we made it to the semifinals. And we ended up losing because our star DPS player, he was a GM DPS, he went deep sea fishing the day of our semifinals, and he couldn't back out. So we had to use our substitute player, which was me, and I don't play DPS, so we lost.
Oh, that's fun.
But getting into it in high school was basically just signing a form, and we did have to pay. We had an activity fee that barred access to a lot of people, so unfortunately we only had one team of 8 players. Overwatch was 66 at that point, so we had 8 drop down to 7 with the activity fee. Here at college, though, our tuition includes that quote-unquote activity fee, so we have... At one point, we had up to 25 people operating throughout Overwatch, and we had 3 teams in the fall. We weren't able to bolster that back in the spring. We ended up having 2, but 2 is better than 1, and I'm always open to including other people. So that basically people usually hear from it from one of my actual players, and people have been known to bring their friends in to spectate, and then we get people set up. We have rolling tryouts. I can't guarantee that I can get you onto a tournament setting, but if you are interested in Overwatch, come find me. I'm always wearing sunglasses, and I'm always willing to help answer your questions.
Wonderful. And now going back what you said for like, what was it, like 2 hours each day?
Yeah, so basically our school, for COVID reasons, you could only be in the building if you weren't a senior, and I was a senior, so I was able to be in the building every day. Otherwise, you were in an A day or a B day. So what we would do is kids who, say you were an A day, it was last names like A through L, and my last name is K, so I was always technically an A day. But if you weren't on that day, you would still drive in anyway. Like we had someone who could drive and come pick you up, and we would meet in the media room directly after school, and I think it went until like 6 o'clock. So it was like 3 to 5:30 or 3 to 6, and we would just sit there, and the 6 of them, because it was 66 at the time, they would play comp with each other because they were just within range, and my account, because I didn't play on PC, I had to make a new account, was so new that I didn't have competitive unlocked, so I just played quick play by myself.
No, but that's the funny thing. Like you were talking about how like it was kind of like more limited, but I feel like that just kind of adds to like me not really understanding like how invested you need to be for the team. Because like going back to it for my first semester when I was trying out, like I was kind of just like casually playing. Like Cade told me before I even went to Kutztown, like, yeah, you should definitely try for the team. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, because before then, I haven't played, because I only played on console, like on PS4, and I haven't played in like a year. No, probably more than that. It had to be like maybe like 18 months. So it was just like a long time, and like I tried to disassociate myself from Overwatch because it's like, there's gotta be more stuff I could play because that was all I was playing back then. But then, like, I finally got on PC again, and I'm like, this is a great opportunity for me to learn PC style of, like, first-person shooters, because, like, going from console to PC can be, like, very difficult sometimes. Like, I was shocked I was able to, like, migrate to it. Like, I'm not good in Overwatch at all, but, like, seeing how Cade, like, is still using, like, the joystick, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but just, like, as a way to...
So... Do you want to quickly just specify what we use for setup before we go further into it?
Yeah, you want to talk about the variant style that you were...
That both of us
do use.
Both of us use.
Still to this day.
Yeah.
So, going into it, I strictly, like, want to just PC, and I was very happy for, like, being able to do that, because, like, I never thought... Because, like, looking... outside of PC, it's just like, I don't know if I can make the switch like easily. I was thankfully able to. And then I found out what Cade and Maddie did for doing it. And how would you explain what you use for your setup?
Do you want to do this? Or
I can do this.
Okay, go ahead.
So basically how we play is our right hand is using a mouse, like as you do. And our left hand is using half a controller. And it's like one of those like pro controllers, so there's like paddles on the back of them. That's usually what I use for jump.
That is also what I use for jump. But our keybinds are actually different on some things.
Because
I know you tried to teach me Reinhardt way back when, and you were shouting out keybinds at me, and they were not lining up.
Yeah, because even for me, I had to change some keys around. For example, I put like a reload on my... Because my mouse had like two panels on the back on like the side. Mm-hmm. So for reload, in my mind, I was like, that's a more defensive thing you do. So I put that on the back panel. And for melee, I put that on the front panel because there are two like side buttons.
Oh, okay. So it's like on like where your thumb's at?
So because when I think of it, like when you're going offensive, you go forward.
Yeah.
But when you're going defensive, you go back. So that was like my mindset.
Okay.
And like that just like, that doesn't even begin to cover like all of my... different bindings, and like you can even like Cade looking at it, it's like, what are these pairings?
What do you think your most radical keybind change is?
Using the ultimate, because I have it. You click on the scroll wheel, but the problem is with that is when you scroll down on the scroll wheel, that's my reload.
Okay, so that's just literally mine also.
That's my
your most controversial one.
That's my craziest one, I think.
I think for the longest time I had Baptiste when you like crouch down to jump. I think I had it bound to left trigger for some reason. I think that's the weirdest one that I had. But I quickly changed that when I figured that out.
Yeah, I for crouch I have like, because we have like these like pro
mice that have like 7 buttons on
them.
them.
So like there's a button on like the left side, and I use that for crouch. Like there's like 3 separate buttons, so it's like crouch, melee, switch hero.
Oh wait, you switch hero bound to something?
Yeah.
That is okay. Wow. I have that bound to ping. So whenever I'm pinging something, I just move my thumb away from the crouch button and like spam it.
I have ping bound on the controller side.
I mean, I have it there too, so technically I do hit it like in 2 different ways if I have to. But
no, I have it on the mouse because that's my dominant hand, so I use that to just
right-handed?
Yes.
Oh, that's good to know.
Why?
Maddie,
I didn't know that about you.
I don't know if this applied to all of my characters, but when I'm playing, for example, just like Reinhardt, do you know what my fire strike is bound to?
Don't tell me it's like right. It's not right trigger.
It's bound to the scroll wheel.
The scroll wheel?
Yeah, it's pressing down the scroll wheel. It's not like flicking it.
It's not even like...
No, because I needed something fast that I could press to, like, if I'm immediately, like, turning to someone.
What is yours on? Yours is different.
It's literally right trigger. Or, like, the right click.
Yeah, because mine's right trigger.
Yeah.
Because you were like, oh, sit down and look at my screen for something. And then I hit the button. You were like, what are you doing?
I think that was applied for multiple heroes. I think I had it bound when I was playing McCree. Like, that was my flashbang, the scroll wheel, from what I can remember. And, like, it's just kind of a example of just, like, how much I had to, like, cater it towards me. Because, like...
Oh, yeah, there's no one right way to play this
I
game.
still cannot casually play Hammond. His layout is so all over the place. But, like, for one of them, like, for his grappling hook, isn't that, like, put on, like, control or something like that?
Yeah,
It was
I
like,
think it's left control.
yeah, it's like left control, and it's like, my hand isn't, I don't have 6 fingers, like, and like, you see, like, professionals, like, swinging around like Spider-Man using the grappling hook, and it's like, how?
I had a teammate in high school, loved him to death, but he was sat next to me, so I used full controller in high school because we didn't have, like, cool mice, so we didn't have the extra buttons, so I just used a full controller, and because I only needed that much space, he sat next to me here, and his keyboard was right here, like, right where my hand would be if I was using a mouse, and he would play Reinhardt like that, and it was perpendicular to the desk. And then he would go like this, and because he needed the entire thing, because he
uses the full mouse.
He uses the full desk.
mouse pad.
And like the person, so he would be in the middle, I would be over here, and the person who was to his right would also be like slightly shifted over this way, so that they wouldn't get like hit with a flying mouse.
Oh my god!
And he was a great tank player, but oh boy, it was so fun to watch him play.
I like to imagine just like his, like he went like full gamer stand.
He was ready. Whenever we'd be like, oh, are we playing? We would watch him like go like this.
Well, I have a question for you. Do you think I could beat him in tank?
Huh?
Do you think I could beat him in tank?
Dude, honestly, he hasn't played recently. From what I've been, because I perused the little chat thing, and I have not seen the playing Overwatch 2. But I think if push came to shove, I think he could kick your ass. I'm sorry. I think he'd win.
Wow.
Damn.
At least they're honest. Like, you gotta be. Yeah, you gotta find someone who like can just be honest.
Just humbles you.
Yeah, just humbles you. Just puts you in your place.
You use automatic in Mario Kart Wii. I don't think you have a space to speak.
Yeah, but I'm learning on Mario Kart 8. I'm getting better at that though.
Yeah, I'm coaching him. It's a work in progress.
That's why Cade knew each other. That's why me and Cade knew each other since 3rd grade. Each time we feel like we're feeling good about ourselves, we humble each other.
Nope.
Who knows where we'd be at if we didn't have each other to just put each other in our place. Yeah.
Oh, it's 7 o'clock.
It's 7 o'clock. Yeah.
Wow, I even put my phone on Do Not Disturb to totally avoid that, and it didn't work.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's no big deal. But yeah. So before we quickly move, is there anything that you want to talk about involving like esports or anything?
The big thing is if you feel like you have an inkling of, yes, I want to try esports, please come and try it. Mm-hmm. Yes, you may end up being like Sebastian where, yeah, it's not for you, but just knowing that you tried is so much more important than shutting that aspect of your life out. It literally changed my life. Like, I went from having 0 friends that I contacted to people that I've contacted to this day from high school. Met my buddy here. I have a lot of coordinated events, people that I can talk to when I'm struggling, and I would have never had that if I didn't step up and put myself into a position that I didn't think I belonged in. Also, if you're a woman, you belong in esports just like I do. Do not let anyone tell you that you don't belong, because I have at least 10 people who have come up to me in my life and said I don't deserve to be here, and now I'm in charge of them. So
that is just like the penultimate. Like, I feel like that sums up like Kutztown Esports, because like even from my experience, like I was not great at all, but every time I was on the team, like they were just like super like patient. Like I always apologize for everything, and you're just like, you're good, man. Like they to me at least, they were like super nice, very like, they were great. Like if I were to ever like hang out with them, they would have been amazing friends.
We always put an emphasis on self-improvement, so you can come to us being in bronze and you can leave a grandmaster player. You should not put your self-worth on your rank, because ultimately what matters is improving from whatever rank you stepped in as. I joined as a silver player and I am just about to reach diamond in under a year, and I would never be in that position if I didn't have coaches who are helping me, friends who offer to look at my video footage, and people who support me. So if that's something you sounds like you're interested in, let us support you.
Cade, anything to add to that?
To piggyback off the going in, it doesn't matter what rank you are. It really does not. Because, like, I started in, plat range for
so.
like, most of my roles. And now I'm, like, GM3 on tank. I'm GM5 on support, and I'm Masters 5 now on DPS. So, like, that I could just thank all that to people that have helped me, people that, like, would continue to play with me, and, like, just close friends that we got through esports, and, like, it's insane.
It's kind of like you come to play the game, but you stay for the connections that you make.
Exactly.
Because they're so deep.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for the insight on that. And Maddie, you're not only like director of the Overwatch esports team, but you are also pursuing an education major?
Yeah, so I'm secondary education English, which is 7 to 12. I'm looking for an emphasis on high school.
Did it now, for a lot of people, they don't know what they want to do with their career, like growing up. Like, just for example, like I wanted to be an engineer in, like.
They also got me with the engineer thing. I have
Did
a story
they?
about that. I will tell that later, but yes.
Oh, absolutely, this will be fun. But yeah, so pretty much like going into, not get sidetracked, but going into high school, I didn't know what I wanted to be. And then pretty much make a long story short, I was like, hey, I like engineering. My parents were like, yeah, you should be an engineer. I go into Northampton Community College, great college, but I was the most like educationally like bankrupt that entire semester. That was the saddest I've been. Like chemistry, horrible, pre-calc, terrible, and I was just like, I didn't know what else to do, so I just go up to my parents. I was like, "Hey, I like making TV and movies. Can I do that?" And they're just like kind of hesitantly like, "Sure, why not?" They were already like a little upset for what happened, but best decision I made, and like here I am now. Just like I'm a senior right now at Kutztown. Probably this is my favorite semester so far, and I'm taking the internship. So,
Dude, your work is very, very well made.
thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Like it's so much better than the stuff I've made, and I'm a little bit. It really is.
Okay.
Like his stuff is insane.
Listen, dude, I am the worst writer I know. I do not have the patience to sit down and write something, and even when I do, I look at it as like, this is cringy as hell.
This is yeah.
That's
But-
like the best part of writing, though. Like, you look back at it and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Because then you know you improved.
Mhm.
She's like, I never write like that again.
Yeah.
But honestly, Cade, like I am very envious that like you're pursuing just like a script writing thing, and like you make these amazing stories and like stuff that you want to talk about. Like, and I even did, like we even worked together for your advanced post production like project,
Yes.
and you did like Last Son of Krypton.
Last Son of Earth.
Last Son of Earth.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you were a reporter.
Yeah, I was the newscaster.
Yeah.
Because
I-
I cast for esports.
Look at us! Look at this reunion we got here.
Yeah. now we just need the guy who played Superman. We need Chance back. I mean,
That's why there's a spot missing. He's actually gonna come. No.
we also need Andrew to come back as well. That just him to walk in and with a smile like.
It's funny you say that because you won't believe it.
You won't believe it! Oh my god!
it.
Not clickbait.
But honestly, so we got a little sidetracked. But how did you get into?
Education.
Yeah.
So basically, my family has been mostly comprised on my mother's side of educators, so that I was always just kind of surrounded in that space. And I particularly have a strong suit in English and writing, so that's kind of ironic. But I knew that if I were to ever be a teacher, I would want to pursue language, so that led me to, in high school, I took an internship and I taught Chinese 1 and 2 in my Chinese classroom, and then I took Chinese 5 at the same time. I don't know I'd recommend taking the class at the same time, but that kind of really cemented in my mind that I want to work with language, and English is probably the easiest language for me to obtain a degree in because it's so widespreadly available. And I'm from like the Reading area, so Kutztown was always on my radar, and I have family that lives on Main Street, so that's how I ended up here. And yeah, just kind of always surrounded by it had a strong suit for helping others when they had questions, and I was like, well, I guess this is just my life now. But to go with the engineering thing you talked about earlier, I actually have a STEM distinction on my diploma because I took so many STEM classes, because for a very short while, I thought that I was going to be in the sciences until I found out very quickly that I'm only good at like middle school level sciences, not like the high school and higher. And my sibling went into computer science because they figured out that that is what they wanted to do. So they went for like engineering in that direction. But I went for like inventing using programs to 3D model. And I hated it so much that I ended up going to my parents and asking to drop some of the classes. And they didn't let me drop them. I survived. But I walked across for my high school graduation with like a green cord on my neck for a STEM distinction that I will never use.
I'm trying to. Speaking of those like cords that you get for like.
Oh, I had so many.
Yeah.
Because I graduated with a 4.0, so I had like an honor society one, and I had like a gold one, and I had a STEM distinction, and I think I also had one because I had the internship, and it was outside, and it was in like the middle of May. And it was so hot.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, with Seb and I, we both went to the same high school, so we graduated like in an indoor building. But the only thing we had like really distinctly like that, I had 2 separate tassels. I had one for a newspaper we did called the Junto.
Okay.
And it was like a class that you could just take, which like.
Was it like journalism or something?
Yeah, pretty much.
Ooh, that's so fun.
Yeah, I wrote a couple news articles, mainly film reviews. But that's literally what I wanted to do initially before I wanted to be a scriptwriter. Okay. Was like a film reviewer. Like my big inspiration for that was like Jeremy Johns. I don't know if you know who that is, Seb.
I unfortunately don't.
No? He's a pretty good YouTuber. But yeah, that was
Jeremy Johns.
Jeremy Johns.
Oh, yeah. I'm subscribed to him. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm cutting out my stupidity. This is a cool thing when you're editing.
You kept my stupidity in for the pilot with me spilling water on myself, so you got to keep
this. You spill water on yourself?
Yeah. Because I literally...
And better yet...
And guess what? We're going to put it in right now.
I made a slow motion, like, close-up on it. And I literally
Seb, pull that up. Editing, Seb, pull that up right now.
Yeah, I want to see it.
And I did it. It was called the Cade Cam.
Yeah.
And I literally
That is excellent. Oh,
it was amazing. And I showed it to Cade the night when we were doing discotheque, and he's like...
He's like, what the heck, man?
He's like, what? Why?
Because...
Hey, Rex wanted it, so... I had to emphasize it.
Well, this is what I want now. I want you to bring it back.
And it's gonna happen.
Good. So anyway, the second tassel I had, besides the Junto, which was like a gold one, I had like a blue and white one for drama club.
You were a drama child?
Yes, I was.
I did not know this about you.
I wasn't on stage. I never actually performed. I was like a tech drama
I had a solo. I performed in 6th grade. I was in Cinderella. I was not Cinderella. Okay. I was not that cool. I had like a random like one line in a song that I cannot remember to this day, because then my sibling got punched in the face on stage. And we decided to both back out at the same time, and then I joined jazz band instead.
That's fair. Yeah. The only like thing, cause I remember I joined drama club because like I knew 3 people that were in it. I like had that, and I was playing the Smash Bros club as well that Seb and I were also part of.
We also had a Smash Bros club. I feel like every high school ever.
Yeah.
Like to be a high school, you have to have a Super Smash Bros club.
Yeah.
I was the treasurer of that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So I did something, like I did a little extracurricular stuff, but like I saw stuff like what was Easton High School's play thing? Was that just a drama club?
There was drama club and there was something else.
I just remember
I'm not gonna know.
I think it was just like Easton Theater.
Yeah, I just remember
something like that.
I just remember watching like the theater club and just there like. I just remember just going to a play that they did, and it's like, that looks like such a fun community.
I remember I went there because one of our friends was also in that. It was like in charge of drama club, so we went to go support her on that. And it was, I think it was Anything Goes was the play.
That was it, I think.
And oh my god, the production was just so good. Like, it was just insane on how like well made all the sets were, how all the costumes look, how real the acting was. Like, I'm not a huge play person, but like I was just like, this is really good. Like, I'm actually invested in this. What's happening?
Yeah, and I think that was kind of like the first like inkling for me. Like I like presenting things for the sake of entertainment. I want to make stuff and like show it off to people, and maybe like it will be shown in front of people and they like it. And it's just a shame like of how like that was just kind of a missed opportunity, because that was like towards the end of the year. So me and my friend at the time, we were just like talking about like, man, like what if we actually did that? So I'm trying to make up for it like here in Kutztown, and I started just to get into it at Northampton, like so much fun I was having, and then moving to Kutztown, again, most fun. So yeah. Now to quickly just go back, did you have any hardships going into English or like writing in general, or just mastery?
For me, coming to Kutztown like was the easy part, but the English department in general is dwindling very quickly. So I've been struggling to get classes that count for things. I also had a lot of transfer credits coming in, so that kind of cut all of my gen eds out. So like I'm taking very randomized courses because my check sheet has like ENG 2 number, and you can take whatever 200 course you want. So I'm in German comics and English.
Why not?
Because why not? And it's like, that's a fine experience, and I'm glad that I'm in the classes that I'm in, but like ultimately when it comes to education, I have taken 3 education classes. 2 of them were special ed that everybody has to take even if you're not a special educator, and one of them was just like intro to American education. And I'm gonna enter semester 5, and then just now I'm getting into like actually going into classrooms and teaching. So I feel like I would have wanted to know that coming in, because I was very worried at first that I was gonna be like slammed right into a classroom, but thankfully I wasn't. Right. But I guess like I can't really give answers on like the education part of it because I haven't experienced yet. But the English part of it is just, it's so much reading.
That is
It
the
is
main.
so much reading.
See, that's my main thing. Like every class I've had up so far for this semester, thankfully this is the one where it's like no more reading, no more essays, no more assignments like that, for the most part. But like I had this class last semester, and I think it was just like, I feel bad for blanking on the name, but it was like historical writing and rhetoric, I believe, which is like learning how to do like college level papers and stuff like that.
It wouldn't be rhetoric style, would it?
No, I don't think so. But God bless my professor, he really did his best. But I do not have the attention span to read stuff. Like, and it's so sad because like we had to read an entire book and then do a research paper on it. And I did a book about Robert Rodriguez, like he directed like Spy Kids and just stuff like that, and he just seemed like a really cool like biography. And I didn't even like finish it, but like I enjoyed it a lot, and to do that I had to pace myself by like 20 pages a day, and Cade's looking at me like those are rookie numbers.
No, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, like back in middle school, Cade was reading like Harry Potter and just like stuff like that.
I think I beat you because I read that in 3rd grade.
Well,
yeah, this is my issue.
It's a skill issue, I'm sorry.
Skill issue, that's the best way to put it, actually.
Yeah. No, but like for English, for me, I have 5 ENG coded classes right now. All 5 of them have required reading, whether it's a textbook or a graphic novel. I love Black class because the graphic novel is so easy to read. Or a play. So like all of my free time that isn't dedicated to all the esports stuff is me going, hey, roommate, shh, I'm trying to read this. And trying to like speed read through it. But the strat is, if you're ever gonna read a play and you see a soliloquy, which is like a long one person speaking for a long time, read the first 5 sentences and the back 5, and if they're the same, congratulations, you just read the soliloquy. You don't have to read the rest. It's the same thing throughout. But
I didn't expect to get reading hacks in this podcast, so thank you for that.
yeah, follow for more reading hacks. I'll be back next time.
Seb's looking like, promise?
Please.
Yeah, I think the worst, in terms of sheer amount of reading, I took, and I love this course, it's Teaching Adolescent Literature. If you are a Sec Ed English major, take it. I loved it to death. However, you have to read 12 novels throughout the semester, and each one is due a week into the semester. So what I did, and I don't recommend this, is I read every single novel in the summer, because I had like the summer beforehand. So I read all of them, and then when I came to class, the week before the novel was due, because on Monday we had reading checks, and they were absolutely did not require this amount of effort, but I would sit down and I would read the entire novel from front to back in one sitting the day before the reading check. And I never lost a point, but I lost my sanity.
I cannot even fathom that. Because
A lot of people, yeah.
for me, reading, I sit down with the book. I can't even put music on because like that dissipates my attention to it. So I have to just like sit down, stare at the book.
Oh, you're a silent girly.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a difference between reading and just staring at a page, in my opinion. And I, like, 50% of the time, I'm staring at a page. I need to be in a Zen mode to, like, truly read something. And that's why I was happy I read the Robert Rodriguez, like, biography, because that was actually something I was interested in and invested in, and just learning about his journey, like, becoming a filmmaker and stuff like that. But, like, it takes me, like, an hour to read 20 minutes, to read 20 pages, and that is just like to put on the scale of how inept I can be sometimes. I'm a slow reader, so just hearing and just like even acknowledging like of what Cade was able to do, like when he was like 10 years younger than me, and just like looking at myself and like, do I have like ADD or something? Like I can't pay attention to things.
I think honestly it depends what you're reading, because I think my record for like the fastest thing I ever read is I read Sonic fanfiction that someone sent to me because they wrote it and wanted, because I'm taking a grammar course right now, so they asked me to peer review it because I know all of the stuff like noun, phrase, subject and stuff like that, and I think I read 6 chapters of it in under an hour, and each chapter was probably, because like it was on a website, so I don't have like page numbers for it, but if I had to put it in like Google Doc equator, I'd say it's like 12 to 15
per chapter.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And it was fantastic. I don't know why I was tasked with reading it, but and then you'll see the other scale. Like I love this professor to death, and I will preface, if she ever sees this, Dr. Forsyth, I read every single thing that you give me, and I do it to the best of my ability. But Shakespeare is so difficult to read. But I do it for you, and it takes so long. I'll have like I have this like tome. It's this thick, and it's every single play that Shakespeare ever wrote, and most of his sonnets, because I have to take Shakespeare's later or earlier plays as a second English major, and I took later plays, and most of the acts in that book are 4 columns worth on the 2 pages, and it's 10 to 15 pages of that. And it takes me like 2 hours. And it absolutely shouldn't, but it's just so much of a slog fest.
So, you guys are like saying like I'm a great like reader or whatever. I'm really not. The last thing I think I fully read, this is gonna be kind of funny. The last thing I fully read was a Star Wars book called.
Was this at the beach?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was it wasn't even like a full on like the way a novel is written. It's like a screenplay. Because it was like basically the written down version of an audiobook for called Dooku Lost.
Yeah, because I had been assigned a screenplay for a class that I was doing.
Yeah.
So we were like screenplay buddies. We both read screenplays at the same time.
Yeah.
When you talk about the beach, are you talking about like when you went to Cape May?
Yes.
Yeah, it was like Stone Harbor, Cape May, that area.
Stone Harbor, yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny because Kate was telling me about that, and literally like 2 weeks later I went to Cape May. So I sent him a picture of me at the freaking bell that he took a selfie at. It's just like, hey, look, guess where I am.
2 weeks too late, bud. Sorry.
We could have had like a 3-man trip going if you would have coordinated that just like slightly better.
Man, I blame my family. But yeah, so in all honesty, it's just like, it's not that you're a better reader. I feel like you just have more patience.
Yeah, you have a lot of patience. There are some things that you put up with that I would not put up with.
Like him?
Huh? Girl? No, I'm not allowed to disclose the information that I'm discussing.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Just try to keep drama to a minimum.
Keep it to just us girls.
Yeah. So.
Not the so.
No.
So what have been your so what are the projects like for doing a English major?
So it depends on what class you're doing, but so basically the essence of education in general is that you never want to have the same project or test or like exam over and over and over again. It basically allows your students, say you have a student who struggles with project-based learning, but they really excel in the multiple choice test. If you give that student a multiple choice test, they ace that. the next project is an essay, maybe they don't do so well, but it'll balance it back out for a student who maybe does better on essays and tests. So I have a lot of varied projects. However, there is always a research project, but there is never a class dedicated to teaching you how to do the research for the research project. So right now I have 3 of them going at once. I have one, which I love to death, which is a project-based thing for Shakespeare. I have one on a 1,000-word research paper on a topic of my choosing, and then I have one on the ethics behind certain comic artists.
Ooh.
And I think even though they all have research, they're so drastically different in their requirements and what they're doing, because like the Shakespeare one, I'm not allowed to write a paper.
Oh.
It's actually called an unessay. So we had an essay earlier. And basically that was like your stated, you get your 5 sources, you put it in MLA. And now this is, you do the same research again, but you have to present it verbally in some other way. So I like that idea. And I've also had projects in the past where you had to do like a group presentation where like you all stand up and be like, hey, this is what you would do if you were in a special ed classroom. And I like those too. But I think ultimately it comes down to who your professor is, because I've had a lot of varied things, and also English rarely has midterms, I've come to find out.
Yeah.
I've had 2. This is my 4th semester. I think I've had 2 English related midterms, and one of them was this semester, which I would never do again if I could avoid it.
I don't think, it's funny, at Kutztown, I don't think I had a single midterm, because all of my projects in every class were just like project based.
Okay.
Yeah, with Northampton, I do remember having like midterms like here and there. Like one of the classes I had was like English 2, and the only class I had that was literally no midterms, because the guys, that professor's style was, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna read a little bit of this book, we're gonna talk about it, that's it.
Oh, that is what the majority of my English classes are like.
But yeah, like there's just no midterms, there's no like tests or anything like that.
I have
It's just
quizzes a lot, or a professor will give, and it varies on how long it is, but usually it's like a half a page, and they'll say like one plot detail, one thing you noticed about the main character, and then like one question you have. But most of the time that's just oral, unless we start acting up. And then they put it on paper and put it in a grade book.
Now, quickly to go back, how much time do you put into the esports team again?
How much time do I put into the... Oh, let's think about that for a second. So, every week, like if I were to block from Sunday to Saturday, Sunday I have an e-board meeting where we get together with all of the directors and our staff, and that is 1 hour. So that's... Let's keep... Can you keep your fingers up for me? Okay.
1.
That's 1. Monday, we have a practice from 8 to 10 p.m. That usually goes to around 10:30, but we'll count it as 3. Thursday, we also have another 2 hours. Then if we are in a tournament setting, we have 2 tournament games, and those each are just under 45 minutes. So
it's about
an hour.
yeah, about that much. Half.
Yeah, and then on top of that, during tournament time, we also have certain people who are elected on Team 1 who will look at the footage of other players and give them tips. So like, hey, you need to do this specific thing here, you can't go that direction on that map. And those can take up to 2 hours at a time.
So, like 9 hours?
Yeah, like 9.5 hours a week.
A week.
And how many classes you got?
5. I always take 5 because I'm supposed to, apparently.
Yeah, what are you made of?
Honestly, I don't know. I've managed to keep a 4.0 this entire time. Not at the cost of my sanity. You've had to pull me out of a lot of moments. But I think what it comes down to is balancing incorrectly that I rarely see people outside of esports, so I go into it really heavily, because if I don't see people at practice, I don't see them. Like, I think I see you outside of practice once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just about that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, I wouldn't recommend doing that, obviously, but that's how I do it.
Yeah, well, to be fair, this semester I have my internship and all that, but, like, yeah. And so this is definitely, like, the most work I've done with Overwatch, usually as, like, just a player because I just became captain of Team 2, like, this semester. Yeah. I was just a player. So all I really did was show up at those 2 practices and the tournament, so about, like,
probably like 5 hours.
5 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
As director, yeah, around, or not director, as captain of team 2, like around
I guess you could also
6,
equate in
7.
Yeah, a little bit more towards 7 because we also have to find scrimmages. That takes time, coordinating with other teams and talking to their captains and talking to our staff to figure out whether we have the room or not is another big thing that takes time. So like communications also add up.
Yeah, sometimes for scrims at least you have to wait half a day, like wait like 2 hours before actual practice. Sometimes it's just 5 minutes later you got to scrim.
Yeah, it depends. It's basically because the way we find scrimmages is you have to like there's like all sorts of forums that you just put a message in, but you can't do it the day before because no one responds the day before. So you just have to kind of wait and be like, are we gonna have a scrimmage? I guess we'll find out at 4 p.m. today, even though the practice starts at 7.
Oh my goodness. Now
It's a lot. You could say it. It's a lot.
it is definitely a lot. Now, just to wrap up, this went by fast. This
This did go
45
by
minutes.
fast, I will say.
Honestly, but just to wrap up with the final question, what are you hoping to accomplish just in the future? Do you have any big projects that you worked on, or like anything that you could say you're like proud of, or
So,
anything?
I do the announcing for our esports teams when we hold events in-house. I am the one who is talking about what's happening on screen. I would love to do more announcing type gigs in the future. I don't know what's open for that. Besides that, though, my passion lies in teaching language, whether that be ESL, Chinese, or English. So once I move past KU, I know that the Department of Education for Pennsylvania offers a certificate where you take an exam and then you're able to teach Chinese, and I would love to keep that up. I also do a lot of writing in my spare time. So my uncle, who I am basing my career path off of apparently because he's also an English teacher, he writes novels in the summer and then generates revenue back by not working over the summer because teachers don't work over the summer, spoiler alert. He writes novels and then self-publishes them. So that's something else that I would be really interested in doing.
Wonderful. Cade, I think we talked about on the pilot episode that you want.
Briefly.
Do you want to just discuss your ambitions?
I'll do like a recap, yeah. So for here at Kutztown, the last major thing I really want to do is this Overwatch event that's coming up. I really want this to work and get things all hammered out and all just get it as smooth as we get with production. There's gonna be a couple problems. I know that's always what happens every single production, but
it's not a LAN if there is not some sort of disconnect or problem.
And it's not a production involving CTM if there's not one thing just shutting down. It's the tumbling event. I remember I was the only one there, and we just couldn't do a live stream because literally the laptop was completely signed out from IT because of the spring break update on all the internet. So that physical laptop was just not going to function. It was so stressful to the point.
I doubt that this is going to be as stressful as that.
No, it's not going to be as bad. But after Kutztown, I've been working on writing for an animated show for
3 years?
3-4 years. And I finished one show and I'm starting up on a new show, and I just finished the first 3 episodes of that sequel show. And I'm starting up on episode 4 as of now, and I've already got a whole outline of how I want that season to go, and then I just thought of just recently a few ideas ooh, that'd be cool for season 2 as an opening. So I got ideas. It's just I need to actually sit down and write it is the issue, which sometimes I can't do that if I'm constantly working.
Alrighty, this has been an absolutely fantastic episode, honestly. So do you want to put credentials of where they could find you? Any plugs? You don't have to.
Oh my god, are we plugging? I will
Okay,
plug.
go
Okay,
ahead.
follow me on Twitter. I am Sunset Sloth, all capital S's. I do absolutely nothing with it, but I do vaguely post about my esports endeavors. You can also follow KU Esports on Twitter, Instagram, and anywhere you can find us. We also have a YouTube page, and if you're interested in getting into contact with me directly, my Discord is Sunset Smoothie number 9494. I would really like to appreciate and see you.
Oh my god.
See, that's the caster voice right there.
That's the caster voice right there, yeah.
I don't even remember my stuff, so I'm gonna cheat in editing.
You're gonna put it in post?
You cheat.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I've
Are you
been
gonna
doing
plug
this-
yourself at all?
I mean, I did plug myself in the pilot. And
Can you plug KU Esports again?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, follow KO Esports in Twitter, Instagram, and Discord.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can get the Discord. We can put the. You know what? Put this on my hand. If you scan this with your phone, it's gonna be a QR code, and that will put you right in the Discord. My tag is Lily Overwatch, and I will take care of you.
Please, over Discord, just send me the QR code.
Yeah.
But say you're giving Seb so much work here, and I love it.
That is my purpose. That's
What?
why they brought me in.
I'm fine with it. I appreciate the enthusiasm, like, immensely.
But yeah, for me, for my own personal, I just have Instagram and Discord, and that's it. I don't remember the numbers for my Discord. It's like Oko Bros
O2.
02, and then like those numbers I don't remember.
Oh, I don't know your numbers. I just remember David's because we both share the same numbers in a different order.
That's funny. But yeah, for Instagram, it's just O'Connell.Cade in all lowercase. I barely use it, but like, yeah.
Maybe this will be the push for you to use it more.
Probably not.
Probably not, but you never know.
Probably not. You know, if anything, the next post you'll see is when I go to Disney later this year. And like those posts on that.
Now that's a sleigh. I use mine for vacation as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, for those watching, I hope you're having a fantastic day. And thank you so much for tuning in to the Kutztown Podcast. I'm once again Sebastian Bubba, and as previously stated, you have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to the Kutztown Podcast. Please consider subscribing or watching another video. And with that being said, have a great night.